you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through Atma, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
Very wonderful good afternoon to all the participants. Jai Hind everybody. I am Dr. Manju Chopra, Dean of Lexicon MILE. And today we are going to have a very wonderful session on importance of trust and leadership. So when trust and leadership comes to my mind, obviously the first organization that comes into everybody's mind is the prestigious armed forces, where trust and brotherhood becomes an integral part of the journey of the leadership. And the way it's carried forward, the way it emerges out in the form of victories always, brotherhood always, being together always. It has taken the defense forces into another organization. And I think that's the need of the hour when it comes to organizations not like defense, but across corporates, academics, the startup ecosystem, the governments, and everybody needs to have that trust incorporated into it. And who better to talk about importance of trust than Mr. Nasir Shaikh, sir, who is also the speaker for the organization, for the discussion that we are going to have today. So I'll just briefly introduce Mr. Nasir Shaikh. Sir, very, very warm welcome to this wonderful forum wherein we are joined by academicians, students, and the entire fraternity who is eagerly awaiting to hear the importance of trust into the leadership. So Mr. Nasir is an award-winning alumnus of the prestigious Campion School, Mumbai, and is the group CEO of the Lexicon Group of Institutes, EduCrack, EasyRecruit Plus, and associate editor of Pune Times Mirror and the Civic Mirror. He is a dynamic leader in the field of education and hospitality with over 2 decades of experience. Among other skills, Sir is a leadership coach with a PCC accreditation, which is very prestigious, by the International Coaching Federation, ICF, very well known for. He's a TEDx speaker, a very, very passion catalyst, a trainer at heart, an avid golfer and a fitness enthusiast. He enjoys the challenges and learning from both activities and is keen on raising the bar at every turn by picking up new sports to sharpen his skills under his very, very mantra, which is learners for life. He has been recognized by India Today, where he stands among the top 10 inspiring young business leaders from India, and has been recognized for excellence in leadership and innovation in life coaching and education by Intelligent Minds Trust by the government of Mauritius in 1923. Sir has won the Transforming
2023, ma'am.
Education.
2023, ma'am. I'm not that old.
2023, of course, sir. Sir, the way you have been taking forward the leadership and all, it looks like that your experience is such vast. So I tend to do that. I apologize, but then I
No problem.
give it as a compliment to you, sir. He has won the Transforming Education and Leadership Award from APAC, and in 2022, he has been awarded the Most Innovative Leader of the Year Award at the Iconic Business Summit and Awards. For his versatile career in the hospitality industry, he has been awarded the Best Business Council of the World by the Marriott International Business Council Awards. And in 2017, Sir has also won the BW Hotelier Indian Hospitality Award for General Manager of the Year, as well as Debbie Marriott Harrison Taken Care Award in the year 2017, and the Asia Pacific Takeaway Award in the year 2019. And I'm very, very sure these are the few, very, very few that we have mentioned in the list. To conclude, Sheikh Sir is an inclusive style, has an inclusive style of leadership that emphasizes more on honesty, timeliness, and transparency. He empowers his team, and I have personally felt it with a short, brief instinct that I had been working with him. So, sir, it's an honor for me to be working with you. And it's an honor for all of us to have you as the speaker of the event. So the way I have been seeing you across into these couple of days, I see that you give a lot of passion to trust and the leadership, and it reflects very well into the everyday small activities that we see you around. So, sir, the first thing I wanted to understand, is there any formula of leadership that you think exists or that you practice about?
So, firstly, thank you to the Association of Indian Management Schools for this opportunity for me to be part of you today and to share my thoughts on it. So, extremely grateful for that, and thank you very much for that. And thank you, Manju ma'am, for introducing me to the audience today. So, honestly, I think there is a formula for trust, and then we will go into the formula for leadership. But when you look at trust, it kind of sits on four factors. The first thing being credibility, second bit is reliability, third piece is intimacy. So the numerator is an addition of all three aspects: credibility, reliability, and intimacy. And then the denominator is self-orientation. So let me talk a little bit about these four factors and how they kind of play a role in it. So the first part sits on credibility. What is it that you are known for? What's the legacy that you create? Whenever, you go into an organization, you go into a conversation, even today, for example, we are here. The people would have gone onto LinkedIn, seen who is this person who's going to come and speak to us today? What is the person's background? What is the credibility that the person brings to the table for a conversation which is around leadership and trust today? So similarly, in our workspaces, in everything that we do, be it our students, when they are being taught by a professor, in the corporate world, if there is a CEO, if there is a senior leadership person, the people working under him, his peers, that's something that everybody would like to establish. What is the credibility of the person that's coming to the table? So that's something, it's a given. We need to ensure as leaders that we actually, are credible for what we stand for. The second element comes as reliability. As a leader, it is very important, and especially for somebody who is working with leaders, and if you're leading people, it's very important that you're reliable, that you're available to your team when the team needs you. See, our role as a leader is to be a catalyst to help our team succeed. You cannot be doing things for the team. So you need to create an environment where you're empowering individuals, you're empowering the leadership, your team to succeed. But they should know that when they are on that journey, when they are on that path to achieve those tasks, there is somebody who's standing behind them, who is reliable, who will be there for them when this happens. Take a simple example. Sports is a great example for leadership. You go back into the aspect, in our Indian cricket team, you have a bowler who's performing extremely well right now, Mohammad Siraj, right? When he was in the RCB team in the initial years, there was a lot of flack that he received. But for him, there was a leader, Virat Kohli, who was his captain, who stood by him, whose reliability was there, right? And that's how he was able to prosper and grow out there. So the other element that kind of comes out there is reliability. The third piece is intimacy. And when you talk about intimacy, people will say, what do you mean by intimacy when it kind of comes and sits in the aspect of trust? So intimacy has different elements to it. Intimacy has empathy. Empathy plays an important role. What is your connect with the person out there? The other aspect that intimacy has is care. And the third piece that intimacy has is relationship. What is the relationship that stands out there? So again, these are three critical important elements that kind of come on the intimacy part. And then the denominator, which actually defines the whole trust equation. So is the self-orientation all about me as a leader? Or is it all about the team? Or the person has been able to find a sweet spot, which is about which is about the complete team, which obviously includes himself or herself and the complete team. Now, if the leadership and the leader is all about himself or herself, then the trust equation will really go off, because suddenly the whole thing becomes about the leader, and the trust is then suddenly coming very low. Similarly, it only becomes about the team, then the trust in the leader from the people who he works with or he reports to, the board that he talks to, again gets a little warped. But when it's about when it kind of encompasses everybody in the space, then you have a sweet spot that comes in and a great balance of trust comes in out there. And there are a lot of other words that kind of come in. What is the personal integrity of an individual? What is the honesty of the individual that brings in? And that kind of falls in out there. And this honestly is the key ingredient to any leadership formula. To be a successful leader, you need to be an individual who is high on trust, who people believe in. And the first step out there is for the leader or any individual to believe in themselves. Only if you trust yourself will people trust you. So, Manju ma'am, yeah, that's what, I would say is a quick formula that I kind of look at when it comes to trust and when it comes to leadership.
So while you were talking about this magical formula, I remembered one of the speeches of Sir Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So he told that while he was into this process of rocket launching and all, he was very anxious. That's when the director of the mission told that you'll be able to do it. And then I remember very funnily, he told that I did not know that rocket, instead of going up in the sky, it will go down into the ocean. And he got very, very scared. And at that time, the director told that you go and have a good sleep. I'll take care of the press. And next time when it became very, very successful, the director told that I want to go home and have good sleep. Why don't you go and just take care of the press? So take care of the press. So it talks basically the story of Dr. Kalam reflected into what you were saying. So sir, I want to understand from you, how is trust a very, very integral part of your own leadership style? How do you ensure it gets discussed and it gets reflected into your leadership style?
So, ma'am, the key aspect for me over my, I've spent close to 25 years in the different industries. I'm an aircraft maintenance engineer, then did hospitality, then did a lot of work in the coaching and mentoring and training space, and now into education, right? The key aspect that has stayed common through and through is a word called intent, which is intention, right? Mm-hmm. If your intent is pure, if your intent is to make the right difference, it'll automatically transform into trust. As a leader, you will not always be successful in what you do. You will not be always able to achieve success. We are not God, to kind of achieve success in everything, right? We are humans. So as humans, we err. But if our intent is pure, people can see that. In everything and anything that you do, you are on stage, you are walking on stage, and people are observing you for what you do. And if they notice that your intent is clean, your intent is clear, and your intent is for the betterment of the team that you're working with, you will definitely ensure that your trust, the trust that sits into you, increases, because intent adds to your credibility, intent adds to your reliability, intent will kind of link back to your intimacy that you have with your team, and most importantly, your self-orientation will always be about the we. And that's the reason, over 25 years as a leader, being in different various leadership positions, the thing that I've earned the most is goodwill. Today, I can reach out to a person that I may have worked with 20 years back or 24 years back, and that person will be there standing for me. And I'll give you a very quick example of this. I went through a surgery very recently, and I had a health scare on July 11th. One of my first bosses, his name is Mr. Punewala, who worked with me in the year 2000. He kind of stays out of Bombay. Now, somehow, I think either through my family or my brother, he got to know that I am undergoing this that day. So I got to know this at 11 o'clock, and he was in the hospital at 7 o'clock. Why? Because there is that bond, that there is that connect, that goodwill that kind of sits with you out there, where the individual comes and says, I need to be there for this person because he was a good person, a good leader. So the key in anything that we do, trust plays a very important part of it. And trust can only come in if you're a good human being. And trust kind of comes in also professionally, right? This is a critical aspect that kind of sits in when we kind of look back into our individual stories. The other piece that has sat with me extremely well over the years is a formula that I've been following, which is FFF, and it stands for being firm, being friendly, and being fair. But remember, always, fair always comes first. If we are fair, firm and friendly can be interchanged, depending on the situation that we are in. But it's always important to be fair. So, a formula that's worked for me is the triple F formula: fair, firm, and friendly, fair, friendly, and firm, whichever order you kind of take it out there.
So, sir, when we are talking about this fair and probably friendly and firm can take different orders, and you have been talking a lot about intent has to be there when it comes to leadership and trust. How do you ensure that you communicate this intent to your team and the team leaders, and as well as the stakeholders who are above you, taking care of the entire ecosystem? How does this progression of communication happen?
Ma'am, there's a very beautiful saying that actions speak louder than words. So your communication has to happen through your actions, the work that you do, the way that you behave. It's very easy to say that I care for my people, but you have to show it. When the person really is in need, what was your action at that point of time? Were you there for that individual? So it's actions speak louder than words, ma'am. So it's your actions that will relate and will communicate your intent, be it to your board, when you're in a senior leadership position, or to your peers, or to your team members. It's your actions that will communicate your intent, ma'am. Nothing else. Words are very easy to say, but you need to ensure that they have character, and the character will come from your action.
Yes. So, sir, this importance of trust you give into this leadership styles, as well as, and I believe in every every aspect of your life, was it very natural to you, or was it a progression of various experiences you had wherein you realized that, yes, trust is something which will be the soul of my leadership style? Probably some instances.
So
that's what we would like to understand.
For me, ma'am, I was very lucky to have a great leadership mentor in the form of my parents, ma'am. From the time that I was a small child, I had the opportunity and I was blessed that we used to discuss leadership. We used to discuss the importance of being a great human being. We used to discuss the kind of life that you need to lead, right? And so for me, I saw that in my father and my mother, right? My father used to lead over 15,000 people when he was at Mazgon Docks, and a lot of the ships that you see are sailing. He's a huge contributor to them during his journey as at Mazgon Docks as a senior leader, from the first frigate to what it is today. My mom was a principal, so again, in both their roles, what was very important was the element of trust that they found and they brought to the table, man. In my dad's case, there were a lot of secrets which were very important to the nation that were entrusted upon him because he was trusted. And there was a lot of things that he had to do, and that trust was there from the organization, from the government of India on him. And that's what kind of was a huge inspiration for me, as a child, seeing that that there's so much out there. With my mom being a principal, parents were entrusting the children to her for their success in life. And I lost them very early, but I could see the difference that they had made during their funerals. Both their funerals, in a time when there was no WhatsApp and no digital, had thousands of people attending it, right? That's the kind of trust and legacy and goodwill that you build. So for me, it started very early. That whole differentiation and that inclusion of being there was there. And the simple thing that my parents taught me is always be honest to yourself and be yourself. Because you can put up a face for half an hour, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, but be honest in what you do, and you will ensure that people will trust you and love you for what you are then. So, and this is not something that you can acquire, man. This is not a skill. This is trust is an emotion. And it can only happen if we are honest to ourselves. And that's where it starts. And it is about having a mindset of, putting trust first, putting honesty first, putting integrity first. And if you are able to build that mindset into individuals, and especially children today, their life as both on the personal front, be it in their marriage or be it in their friendship or in the corporate space, will kind of amplify to great successes. The reason today we have a lot of conflicts is because of the lack of trust. So that's something that we need to, kind of, in everything that we do in our curriculums, in our conversations, in our engagement with our students, we need to emphasize the importance of trust.
So, sir, when we are talking about nurturing trust as an emotion, and throughout your journey of 25 years, you have been into an industry which is very, very culture oriented, very, very generational oriented. Even in Lexicon MILE, it's like a mini India. We have students from across length and breadth of India. So then there is the various cultures coming together. And of course, you had seen various generations. And trust, of course, varies across cultures and generations. So how do these cultural differences and generational expectations impact your trust into the leadership style? And how do you take care of it? Because their definitions of trust changes every time.
Ma'am, actually, I would say the only thing common in all the cultures, in all the generations, is their concept of trust, ma'am. It's actually not. I believe that is the only thing that is common that sits out there. Because what is a trust? What is the trust that the student wants, ma'am? Let's say the younger generation is that, the college that I'm going to, the person that I'm working with, dealing with, will ensure that I get great education, great learning. And through that learning outcomes that I have, I will be ready to enter the industry as an entrepreneur or as a professional very well. So that person is trusting you with that thought process. Very simple. What is the parent trusting you with? The parent of that child, because I have children all the way from KG till postgrad, study across the various verticals that I lead. What is the parent trusting you with? That you will give good education to my child and ensure that my child becomes a great human being, right? So what is the teacher's expectation from me or the leadership out there, that this institution, this school, this college will give me all the right tools and support to ensure that I give great education, great learnings, and great values to the children that I'm interacting with, right? So if you do this, there are requirements, and it doesn't matter, ma'am, if you're from the north, south, east, west, or you're from any other country also, it all kind of boils down to the same. Similarly, in other fields, when I was in hospitality, the key is that the person is trusting me with an important occasion. If it's a wedding, trusting me with their safety, their security. And it all falls down to the credibility that you've built over the time. What has been that engagement? What has been that interaction? That is the reason, when you say that, you're interviewing a child to get him into the college, I'm saying that the child is also at the same time interviewing you to get you to enter your college. He or she wants to see, can they trust you to come into your college? Or an employee, for example, ma'am. So any person coming in new, the interview is always a two-way process. While you're interviewing the person for their mindset, their skill, their attitude, their aptitude, that other person is interviewing you to see, is this person a nice person to work with? Is this person a genuine person to work with? Will I get what I want at the end of my employment? What will be my outcome out there? What's in it for me? That person is also interviewing you at that time exactly for these reasons. So it's always two ways, the trust. So I go back to my initial lines. It's about your intent. Intent is very clearly visible. You cannot fake intent, because what you've done in your past is a indication of what you're going to do in your future. So all the person needs to do is look at it. While some people change, but your past is a good indicator of who you are and what you are. I've always believed in that.
Yes. So, sir, trust is the VIFM that probably everybody is looking around. So, sir, also we see the way specifically after COVID and specifically after the LPG era, the way corporate has changed, the way educational expectations has changed. Now, suddenly the entire environment has become very fast-paced, and also it has become very high-pressure environment. But trust, on the contrary, takes time to nurture and time to develop. So, as a leader, how do you expedite this process of building trust specifically into this era?
I don't think trust can be, fast-paced, right? But trust is different with each different individual, right? It also depends on the nature of the other individual. There are some people who trust easily and they will trust you till you break their trust. And there are some people who take their time to build the trust into you. And trust is very personal. And it is in a way independent of where the world moves. It kind of bears down again from what your past experiences were. If in your life you've trusted people and they have not let you down, you will see that these people trust more easily. But in your life, if an individual has trusted people and has been let down, that person is more cautious when they trust. There is that saying, right? Jo ek baar jalta hai, fir
दूध का जला छाछ भी फूक के
पीता है, right? So that's what it is. So it depends on what your personal experience has been in life, and it all starts in your childhood. How was it with your friends? How was it with your parents? How was it with the teacher? That's why, my emphasis has always been on ensuring, when it comes to my own child, that, I give him the right experiences in life as a father, as a parent. And in the environments that he is in, he gets the right experience. Similarly, in our schools, that is personally very important to me, that the children are nurtured to believe, not only believing in themselves, but believing in general in the aspect of the people around them, and that they are able to trust people and they are able to kind of understand who can be trusted and who cannot be trusted out there. So it all starts in your childhood, irrespective of how the world moves. Again, what your experiences have been will kind of lead you to trust. And sometimes you're forced to trust people because of the circumstances you are in, and you don't have an option. But yeah, that's what life is, man, in a way.
Yes. So, sir, I mean, it's easy to trust when everything is going very right. But I think the ultimate testimony of trust is during the times of crisis. So, has there been your own leadership story when there was a crisis and you have to navigate your entire team through the to that particular crisis? How did you communicate? How did you take care of that challenge? Would you like to speak about that?
Yeah. So, ma'am, when we go into that, I'll tell you the two things that kind of form, credibility, reliability, intimacy, and orientation will come in this story, and I'll share this with you. I'm originally from Mumbai, and I've lived 80% of my life out of Mumbai. So I was part of the JW Marriott Mumbai Juhu's team. I was in the executive committee at that moment of time, and I was part of it. And there are two instances. One was when we had the terrorist attack the hotels, the Taj, and there's another one when the floods were there. I will share with you both those stories, and I hope I'm able to kind of link it back to that. So when the terrorists attacked Taj, we were in Juhu. I was on property at that point of time. Me and my general manager, Mr. Guy Gore, we both were there on campus, on site at that moment of time. And we heard about what's happening out there. Now, inside the hotel, I had around 200 odd people that were there. And in addition to that, I'm sorry, the lights have gone off. They'll come back in a moment.
In addition
to that, I had around 1,000 guests, 1,000 plus, I think around 1,500 guests who were there between banqueting, room stays, and restaurants out there. And there was panic happening out there, right? So the first step for me was to get my team together and tell them, listen, you are safe out here. Our security team, as we got to know, has done the whole background. They've gone across the hotel. They've gone across different places. We've not seen any danger to our hotel. So we closed the main gates. And we closed the main gate so that nobody could come into the thing. We send security to the perimeters on the outside because we were a sea access hotel. We sent people out there and told our team to be extra vigilant and look around. The team, seeing myself being there and the general manager there with them, knew that these people are going to be with us. They're not running away, right? And he was an expatriate. I was there. We were there with them. So that kind of gave them the trust that, whatever happens, my leaders are going to be there with me. In addition, they saw that the key other leaders who were part of the team were given a call and told to report to the hotel immediately. Then we went and spoke to our customers, be it in-house, who were in rooms and who were outside, and said, listen, we've got the team, we've got additional backup coming in through from the security perspective. Please be at ease. And those who want to leave, we facilitated them to leave. So we did not keep them back in the hotel if we wanted to leave. So we ensured that we took the documentation. We were in touch with the local law enforcement authorities, got the feedback in, and did it. And Guy and I were in the hotel for 5 days continuous. Right? During that period, standing day in, day out with our team during that period. And that kind of showed the team that, listen, this person will be with me when I need him. So we didn't have to say anything to them. It was our actions. Similarly, in the floods, man, Juhu is a low-lying area next to the sea. It gets over-flooded, So we had the likes of Amitabh Bachchan, coming and putting his stuff with us because he trusted us. You had Ranbir Kapoor walking in his tracks and coming and staying in the hotel for those late night because he knew that the hotel could be trusted, the leadership out there could be trusted. Most importantly, my team that was there worked 3 days continuous because other people could not come in. Because they trusted us that we would ensure that there is enough food for them, enough light for them, and we were doing everything to ensure that they are families. So through the HR, we created a cell which called up each family and said, your son, your brother, your sister is with us, your daughter is here with us. So rest assured, and this is a landline where you can reach out to them. And, people in the vicinity were supported because we used to have our stocks of diesel and everything. You're running a hotel is running the city. So wherever people needed support, that was extended to them. So I'm trying to give you what happened in short out there, but your actions will inspire people to trust you and to do what you do for them. It's kind of always, a relationship which is where you go in two ways, like in any other relationship.
Right. So while you were talking about this story, I could literally feel goosebumps understanding the entire thing that you could have done, and that's a commendable job. I think I must congratulate you for
Thank you.
taking ahead that. So we have been talking very nicely about trust. It can be communicated, the way it can be built up and all. But then I easily understand, and all of us easily understand, that trust can be very fragile and trust can be very, very easily damaged. So right from a kid to an elderly, I think this is one common thing that everybody experiences for trust. So, sir, what are some of the common mistakes that leaders make that erodes the trust out of the team? What do you think are the common mistakes made by leaders into disturbing the trust emotion of an employee?
Ma'am, I think it boils down to one thing, the value of your word. The day that you let down yourself, you let down your trust. So if you commit something, you need to ensure that you go out and deliver that. I'll give you an example. In fact, I was at a dinner last night with a couple of my friends. I won't name the people, I won't name the institutions and organizations, but so three of us were sitting and talking over dinner, and one individual and a certain friend's name came up, and he moved organizations. He was a stalwart in that organization, and he moved organization. So we said, what happened? Why did this guy move? So the other individual said, what happened is he was getting a great offer from another company, but we didn't want him to leave, and we wanted him to kind of take on a senior role and stay in the company. So we promised him a cluster role when the market evolves in the next 2 years, right? And by the time that time came in, the two individuals who committed that to him moved on, and no cluster role came for that individual. So that person got disheartened with the company he was working with, and those two individuals lost his trust and changed his company. Now, when he reached out to those individuals, and one of them is a friend, he said, I couldn't do anything because I'd already left the company. But then I asked him, did you document it anywhere? The corporate world is a place where documentation is a critical role. If I promise you something, have I documented it anywhere? That, this is your career path. 2 years later, if you do X, Y, Z, you will grow into this role. Now, irrespective of then, if I am in the company or not in the company, my documentation is proof, because in my role, I've documented that, and there are parameters which measure it. If that individual had done that, the trust would not have broken, right? Same thing with the organization, right? If the organization had to just stick to their words, unless there was a performance issue. You can't tell the individual, I've promised you this against this performance, you're performing extremely well, but but is the worst bad word, a cuss word that you can tell an individual to break a commitment. So the key lies that, the words that come out of your mouth, you need to stick to them, ensure that you document them. And when you really document them, you will make a difference in life. Otherwise, a lot of them are empty words. For example, if I'm committing to somebody, people know that if Nasir has said that, it will happen, because irrespective of him being there, not being there, there is a process in place that will ensure that it happens.
So probably setting up the process is one of the integral ways to ensure that such type of subjective things don't happen.
Yes, ma'am. Your words can never go empty, ma'am. In the faith that I follow, we are told that, if you're able to control two things in your body, and both these things are without the bone, if you're able to control these two muscles, and one of them is the tongue, you will live your life very successfully, because with that, you will get commitment in place.
Right. So probably we have to walk the talk always.
Absolutely. You cannot be hypocrite out there. You cannot be a hypocrite. If you are not honest to yourself, and if you're not honest to your words, and if you're not honest to what you do, there is no question that your actions will inspire trust.
Yes. So for all the participants, I'm very, very sure that all of you are enjoying this amazing session that we are having with Nasir sir. The participants cannot unmute themselves, but the chat window is always open. So I request all the participants also to keep on posing questions in case it's there into the chat box, which will be taken at the end of the session. And also another instruction that I wanted to give is that there will be a 15 minutes window for sharing the feedback. And the certificate for attending the session will be issued only post the feedback form is shared. So whenever it's open, kindly fill it. The 15 minutes window is what we are having. So back to Nasir sir. Sir, I wanted to understand this vision statement, mission statement. They are kept and talked about very, very elaborately into the corporate houses as well as any small, big organization. Do these vision and mission statement speak about trust?
So,
or should the vision statements be around trust?
Ma'am, trust should be an integral part of your vision and mission, right? And sometimes it may not be there in the form of a word out there, ma'am. But what are you trying to inspire people to do? You're inspiring people to trust you for the product that you are servicing, selling, do that. So Tata is known for quality, right? So people trust it for its quality, right? I was speaking, I was watching this beautiful TEDx talk by one of a retired brigadier, and he kind of emphasized upon how in the armed forces trust kind of comes above everything else. Religion and this doesn't form order out there. There is a Sarva Dharm Sthal where people pray. There is no mosque, there's no temple, there's no church. Everybody plays their duties. Why? Because they trust they trust the whole organization that's called the armed forces. There is trust that the individuals leading them do not have a bias. So, and that only, all that the vision, mission is what are you trying to do? You're inspiring trust in an individual to come and play with you, to work with you, to learn with you, to engage with you. So vision and mission is a reflection of what you want to do. And the actions that you do to lead to the vision and mission will inspire trust. It necessarily doesn't need to form a word in the vision and mission, but your actions to achieve that should be the element that inspire trust.
Yes. Sir, I was talking to one of my students and I could feel that the student was not very happy with the non-transparency that was there into the particular organization, and he was looking for an opportunity. So obviously, out of the entire conversation that we are having, that one thing that is coming out very, very elaborately is you have to walk your talk. And when we are saying we have to walk your talk, it means very transparently it needs to be communicated also. Right. So what I take out of this is that trust is often very, very directly linked to transparency. But then when it comes to leadership, there is also very, very sensitive information that needs to be kept along. So how can leaders balance the need of transparency with the need to protect sensitive information and also to probably have that competitive edge, still able to communicate it well to the employees that look, what something being done is not communicated to you because of X reasons, but there is a greater picture to it.
So ma'am, there is very little that we cannot share with everybody, honestly speaking. I'm telling you this from years of leadership roles. There has been very little that you cannot share with your team members out there. The only elements could be new product, new strategy, new designs. But your team is also very accepting to it. If you're honest with them, saying, we are building this, we want to we trust you completely. But there are certain protocols that need to be followed, and hence this information today is not in public domain and not in the domain that I can give it to you. But in the next 3 months, I'll be sharing this with you, and you will understand then why I couldn't share it today. But most of the information that is there, you can actually share it out across to your team. In fact, the more transparent you are, the higher will be the trust that the people will have in you. Ma'am, ask me, what is it that I really can't share with a person from my role today? There is very little, I would say 1%. And I think that doesn't really matter a lot. But if you are, if you bring technology into play, and if you put all your information on that domain, people will really enjoy the fact that you are their leader. And if everything can be measured back, I've always said this in life, what gets measured gets done. So as a leader, I have, the balance scorecard is a fantastic measurement tool for me. And how much people trust you can be done through, various activities of things that you do where people trust you, and where you bring in, and it will reflect in a way when you have a difficult task at hand. The number of people who volunteer and the people put their hand up to be part of the team, they will be, that will show how much people trust you, because when there is a tough task, if people are standing behind you to achieve that, it is a reflection of you as a leader.
So, sir, does trust actually reflect even into the profitability of the organizations? Have you experienced it yourself?
Absolutely, ma'am. Because when will people spend with you, ma'am? What is profitability, ma'am? There are two types of profitability. One is an emotional profitability, and the other is the financial profitability. Financial profitability comes from revenues, the way you spend your money, and what is left out of it. Now, profitability can only be driven if you have a great top line, because there's only so much cost that you can kind of control, cover. But if you drive your top line well, and when will people spend with you? If they trust you. If you're going to buy a car, you will go and buy a car after discussing with a few people who have that same brand, right? And let's say you want to buy an XUV. You will go to 5 owners of a Mahindra XUV and say, what is your experience with it? And if they say, the car is awesome, and the service, but the after sale service is not good, your trust is a little shaken. But if they say, all 5 say after sale service was good, the car is awesome, I'm really loving it, your trust increases. So, and if you trust it, you will buy it. So, ma'am, your whole business stands on the basis of trust.
On the basis of trust.
Every relationship stands on the basis of trust. I'm married, right? My wife and my relationship will be strong, and God is kind. We completed 20 years of togetherness very recently. But my wife will trust me, and I will trust her with the actions that we do. And that's the longevity of the relationship. And happiness is the profit that kind of comes out of it, right? Similarly, in business, it is there. So if there is one defining, I'm sorry if I get a little passionate about it, but if there's one defining thing in life, is how you build trust and how you sustain trust and how you retain trust.
So that passion is all we can see very, very clearly over here. And I think that's what is the most interesting part of the session. So, sir, we understand that as leaders, you have that trust into your team, but equally important for that progress together is a trust of the team members amongst each other, peers and the supervisors. So as a leader, how do you ensure that the entire ecosystem of trust gets imbibed into each team member that is there?
Ma'am, that is a reflection of the culture of the organization. So you need to build a culture where people are talking to each other, people are trusting each other, and you, in a way, as a leader, will define that. Let's say as a leader, if somebody comes and speaks to me something bad about the individual, another individual who is the peer, and I entertain that, then I am creating an environment where trust is not a priority. But if I tell 2 minutes, let me call this individual who you're talking about, let's talk about it in front of that individual, then that person knows that my leader is all about trust, and he's not here to listen to gossip. Many a times, we make this mistake of, for time pass or just a casual conversation, we facilitate unnecessary gossip. So that's something that as leaders, we need to eliminate. We also need to inculcate this into our teams through various conversations, towards rap sessions, towards team buildings, team outings that we do. we need to keep on encouraging and talking about the importance of trust always, man.
So for all the participants, the attendance link and the feedback form link is already open, and I request everybody to kindly do that. So now a customary thing that I always do into the moderations is having a quick fireside chat with the speaker, and I think it will be fun with you. So answer it has to be without a thought and very, very quick, and the first thing that comes to your mind.
All right.
So a leader you admire.
Sorry?
A leader that you admire.
My mom. She has been the biggest influence in my life.
Yes, sir. Your first experience of strength of trust.
My first experience of, sorry, I didn't get the word.
Your first experience when you realize the strength of the trust.
Ma'am, when I'll tell you, this is when I was approximately 14 years old, and my mom got admitted into the hospital for a very serious operation. And the way the doctor spoke to me kind of built that trust into me. So I was able to let my mom go into the operation theater because of that trust with the few lines that he spoke to me out there.
And 3 absolute things, must-have things that you look into your team.
Into a team: honesty, passion, and integrity.
And how do you deal with a team member who has just failed your expectations?
Ma'am, that is something where, you need to talk on what was the reason of failure. If the intent was right, if the effort was there, and still we fail, we need to find out how we can succeed. But if the effort was not there and intent was not there, then we need to ensure we take action accordingly.
And a movie or a web series that you will recommend to have leaders of leadership to? Probably all the participants.
When I go and watch movies and web series, I don't look at it from a leadership thing. I leave actually my brains behind. I want to go and enjoy them. One of the latest movies that I saw that really made me happy was this Rocky or Rani. So I don't go to movies and web series to get inspiration, man. I go there to have fun.
We need to come to Nasir Shaikh sir for that inspiration, and we need to keep on watching this session probably again and again. And is there a game or sport that changed your entire perspective of trust?
Golf, man.
Golf
is a game that is exactly like life. You are marking yourself and you are playing the ball as it lies. Some good shots may give you bad results. Some bad shots may give you good results. So golf is a direct reflection of life in ways, ma'am. So yeah, golf is a game changer for me.
A book that is always on your table.
Good to Great.
Good to Great.
By Jim Collins. I love that book.
And so what is one quality that made you good to great?
My honesty, ma'am. I think I'm very honest to myself. I'm very honest to the people around me. And I think, and the other aspect is that I'm a very spiritual person, ma'am. So I know that whenever I get stuck, the Almighty will step in to ensure that I do well in life. That way. So, and I've seen that work for me, ma'am.
Yes, and one place you go for your soul search.
Ma'am, when I have to do soul searching, I actually go to the graveyard where my mom and dad are resting. I go there to find solace. Go there to find peace because I'm able to connect with them, with the Almighty, and with myself in the best way at that time.
Yes. Sir, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Just enjoyed the session with you. Sir, somebody, it's anonymous, but wants to know your definition of a leader.
A leader is a person that, you can trust to reach the outcome that you want as an individual, as an organization, and as an outcome. A leader is a person who cares for individuals, cares for his team. Leader is a person who also cares for himself or herself. And a leader is a person who is human first, and a leader is a person who will ensure that when there is a problem or when there is a crisis, he or she is there for the individual. A leader is somehow a superman or a superwoman, and you don't need a designation to be a leader. Right? You need to be able to make a difference in people's lives. So I would say, in simple words, a leader is a person who is a miracle worker, who's making a difference in people's lives. If you are doing that, you are a leader.
Yes, sir. So I hope the definition comes well. Sir, Geeta Rathi ma'am wants to know that as a leader, how do you look into failures and how do you move ahead with your vision for the future?
So failure is part of life. Failure is not a good word or a bad word. Sometimes people glorify failure, saying that failure is the stepping stone to success. Not necessarily. Failure is an element you learn from. You need to identify what went right and what went wrong. The elements that went wrong, were they in your control or were they not in your control? And then ensure that you take action on those elements to succeed further. Don't glorify failure, don't nullify it. Failure is a part of life. Ensure that you're looking at what went right, what went wrong. Build from that. Don't make the same mistake again. There's this beautiful saying that, what got you here will not get you there or ahead. So don't repeat your mistakes.
Very, very well said, sir. So I think we had a wonderful session. I can see there are lots of thank you notes and appreciation notes coming. And one last thing, sir, I wanted to wind up this session with is one phrase or probably a proverb, something that gives you a lot of strength or that makes you walk your talk always.
So, ma'am, that is something from Sant Kabir, which is "Kaal kare so aaj kare so ab, pal mein pralay hoegi, fir bhauri karega kab." This is something that I've always kind of not only lived for myself, but I also share it with a lot of people who I work with. I always tell them that, follow this simple mantra and you will see that it will inspire people and inspire you to do well in life, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time. I have
pleasure.
seen you how busy you are always. And in fact, for all the team members, tomorrow is a very special day for Lexicon MILE because the previous batch will be convocating from the campus. And as today, the entire day, there is a lot of husbands into the institute and sir has been constantly busy, but still he took out time on this
No, ma'am.
busy afternoon, sir. I have to thank you for that. Thank you.
This is a pleasure. In fact, I'm grateful to AIMS for giving me this opportunity. And, busy is a state of mind, ma'am. For things that you value in life, you always have time. And for me, being here today is very, very valuable. And I'm extremely grateful to the audience for patiently listening to me. So thank you very, very much. And God bless you and give you all the success and all the happiness that you desire in life.
My special mention of thanks to Mr. Sudhir Sharma, sir, President of AIMS. And I cannot stay silent without taking the name of my mentor, specifically Dr. Ganesh Rao, sir, Executive Board Member of AIMS, all the board members, AIMS Secretariat, and lastly, and firstly, and always all the participants of the event. It's always so much fun talking with all of you. It's always fun having these sessions. And AIMS is an inspirational body who keeps on having all these webinar series. So looking excitedly for another session to be probably witnessed as well as hosted or moderated on this wonderful forum. AIMS, thank you so much. Nasir sir, thank you so much.
Ma'am, just one bit, ma'am, thank you very much for moderating the session so beautifully. The session would be incomplete if we don't thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was just, so I'll conclude the session by just one stand-up comedian, Nasir Shaikh, what he told. He told कि हम लोग ट्रस्ट करना हमारे अंदर इनग्रेन्ड है. जब हम लोग गाड़ी चलाते हैं तो हम ये सोच के चलाते हैं कि सामने वाला बंदा विल टेक केयर, राइट टाइम पे स्पीड लगाएगा. And when we are just crossing that, we just look into the eyes of the other driver and it just assures that we'll be able to pass and we'll be able to probably have a very, very wonderful drive. So if we can trust people who are just our co-passengers just traveling the same roads, I think all of us have to bring that ecosystem of trust into every aspect of our life, because trust is where people are, and wherever there are people are, there has to be trust. Nasir said, sir, thank you so much. And I have to tell it's wonderful working with you on this. Thank you. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.